Well, the time of year has come when LG introduces its next G phone, and last year they launched the LG G3 with quite a lot of fanfare at an event held in Mumbai, and this year again at an event held in Mumbai, LG has launched the G4. Now the G4 itself is LG's newest flagship. LG has also gone one step ahead and taken on Samsung with LG's G4 camera capabilities. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbox it from this test box that I have over here. It's not really the final box, it's nowhere near the final box, but this is what an indication of what the packaging will look like. Our box is not even sealed. This is more like a test box with a test device. You can see here the brown leather back cover is on the G4 over here. I'm going to give you a quick look of that. A really nicely finished genuine leather back panel on the new LG G4. Looks really nice. The iconic rear button over here. You have the LED flash, the laser sensor for focusing capabilities, and then you have the speaker. Of course, this back panel is removable, and I'm going to take a look at that in just 1 second. Not a lot happening inside our box either, so you just have the USB cable and the USB wall charger. You will be getting earphones as well as documentation inside the box of your LG G4, so don't worry, you'll also get a warranty card and anything else that LG has decided to make free in your lot of devices. But that's all for our box for the time being, so I'm going to put this aside. This is nowhere near the final box, like I said. This one doesn't even have print pricing, etc. So nothing over here, it's a clean box. I'm going to put it to the side, and we're going to come to the star of the show, which is the LG G4. Now this device, before we get on and power it on and go around the device, I'm going to talk about specifications. The LG G4 is powered by a Qualcomm MSM 8992 Snapdragon 808 processor. Now this is a dual core 1.8 GHz Cortex A57 with a quad core 1.44 GHz Cortex A53 chipset. Now this is a CPU combination where you get hexa-cores. You also have the Adreno 418 GPU, so a unique sort of chipset on this device. You also get 32 GB of inbuilt storage and a 3 GB of RAM. You also get micro SD card expandability, where LG is talking about 2 TB of expandable micro SD card capability. We don't know if those cards are going to be available, so let's safely say that if you pop in a 128 GB micro SD card, it should work just fine. Now the battery on the inside is a 3000 mAh battery, and if we talk about the front of the device, this is what the device looks like. Really nice finish, very iconic to LG and their edge-to-edge design sort of capability. Now if we do a quick one over with the device, over at the top you have the front 8 megapixel camera. That's right, it's an 8 megapixel camera which does do full HD video, surprisingly enough. It could have done, if they would have just added a few more pixels, it could have done more or less 4K video on the front as well. But we have an 8 megapixel camera that does 1080p video at 30 frames per second. And then we have a couple of sensors in the earpiece. Below that you have a 5.5 inch 2560 by 1440 IPS LCD display. You also have a Gorilla Glass 3 on this. Surprisingly enough, we don't have Gorilla Glass 4, but you do have Gorilla Glass 3, which is pretty good as well. Now the side of the device has a slight lip over the glass. That means that the glass won't directly be touching any surface if you lay down your phone flat on the screen. Now you have the LG logo over here. No touch capacitive buttons on the bottom line. You'll have those on screen. And if I look at the bottom of the device, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, the main microphone hole, as well as the micro USB charging and data syncing hole. On the right side, there is a small notch to pull out the back cover, which I'm going to do in just a minute. On the top, there is the secondary noise cancellation microphone, and then we have an infrared blaster port or an infrared blaster sort of black cap over there. And that's it. Nothing on the left edge, nothing on the right edge, more or less nothing on the top edge either. Now on the back, we have a nice and large 16 megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture. Now this is 0.1 lower than that of the Galaxy S6, which means that definitely better in terms of low light, or it allows more light onto the sensor, the lens setup that the LG G4 has, sort of trying to do a one-up on Samsung. You do have a 1/2.6 inch sensor. You do have inbuilt image stabilization, and you have laser autofocus, which is over here. Interestingly enough, the camera will also capture raw footage. Here is where your power button along with the volume rockers are. Again, they've sort of given the buttons a slight grungy feel to go along with this leather. It looks really nice. It's got this sort of tainted look to it. It looks really fantastic, and then they've also embossed a nice LG G4 logo on the bottom right, which also looks great according to me. So if you pop your finger inside this notch on the right over here, you can pull out the back panel and you can see that there is a 3000 milliamp hour battery over there. You can also pop in a micro SIM and a micro SD card. The variant in India will allow you to pop in 2 SIM cards, I believe, once it becomes finally available. More information on that when the device actually does launch and become available. But for now, the one that I hold in my hand has 1 SIM card. So let's power it on. You can hold down on the power button to power it on. You can see that the startup logo has shown on, and so a whole bunch of terminology and terms and conditions and legal documentation. I do not want to install McAfee. So you can check what all apps you want to install. If you want to install any of these: remote call service, TV, LG Smart World, or VoiceMate. I do not want to, so I'm going to skip that. And that's it. That's where the UI loads up, and this is what the screen looks like. I think it looks fantastic, to be quite honest. I'm really happy with what LG has now done with its user interface. That's a bit too dark. I'll make it a little bit bright. You can see it's really nice and colorful. Looks really clean, very minimal, almost like Android's stock lollipop sort of setup. But if I go quickly into About Phone, you'll be able to see that it is running Android 5.1, which is relatively new. And then you also have LG's Optimus UI on top of it, which you can see over here, which allows you to do a bunch of customizations, including battery and power savings. You also have a gamer optimizer. You also have smart cleaning. You get into storage. You can see that this has a total of 32 gigabyte with available 22.05 gigabyte, where miscellaneous things including system data is 9 gigabyte. Everything else is more or less non-existent, but you get 9 gigabyte of system data on the G4, which takes away a chunk of your data, and you get about 32 minus 9, which is approximately 23, but you get about 22 because it has a bunch of other things as well. So lots of customizations here, which you can set according to your requirements. Again, LG has been a big one with customizations from the beginning. So they have that over here as well. So if you go into management, you have a bunch of things including battery saver, running services, LG backup, storage, etc. You go into the app settings, you have the quick remote, you have McAfee security, which I do not want. So I'm wondering if I can uninstall it. Actually, this is the first thing I'm going to now check on devices. I'm going to get into settings, maybe in general. I'm going to get into apps and see what all I can uninstall. So for example, I can't even see McAfee. There's nothing on the SD card. So things like McAfee security are on system apps which cannot be stopped or disabled or removed from the device, which honestly I don't like, because what if I don't want it? Not that it takes too much of my space, but it's there, it's annoying, and I don't want it. The display is absolutely fantastic. You can see that excellent viewing angles on this display. It's really bright and vibrant. The colors really pop. It looks really fantastic, and this wallpaper that they have in the background really does justice to the display. You can get into the gallery and have your images set up as your wallpapers. You can also get into live wallpapers, download them from Google Play, I'm guessing. So you need to sign in into Google services. I'll do that later. And then you have some custom ones that are already there. including this leather one, which I really liked. So it gives you a very natural leather feel, which matches the back of the device. But I would honestly say that the one that they pre-install on the device, this one looks absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I can also notice that the device is starting to heat up a little bit with my usage. So I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad. It's definitely not a good sign, but I don't know if it's a bad sign or not. You can see the dialer fairly detailed. You have your call logs, your contacts, your favorites, your groups, the dialing setup over here. However, you can message. Something happened. Something is happening. It's downloading all my updates over here. You can see the notification panel. I can press this button to clear it all up, and the rest of the things will continue to happen. Now I can also customize my notification panel over here by pressing the edit button, and I can move things around. I can have a quick launcher for the LED light, a Miracast, quick remote, screen color inversion is also something I can enable. So if I want to invert the colors for sight impaired people, you can have that as well. I kind of like this looks cool. Yeah, so these options are there readily available. It's also demonstrating the double tap to unlock. You also have this new bubble to unlock the device. I can hold down and you can tap on this to take a look at, well, it's also showing me how to do dual window, but right now I can take a look at all the apps that are running. If I press on dual window, I can drag two applications at the same time. So I can have file manager as well as maybe YouTube going. Yeah. So I'll do this later, but if I can have two apps running on this 5.5-inch display, which is fantastic, really cool. This weather widget keeps giving me quick tips on how to do things around the device, which is cool, I guess. Fairly simplistic, not a lot going on over here on the G4. You can hold down on the home button and get into Google now if you want to do that. You'll obviously need to sign in, which I haven't done right now. You have your standard set of Google apps pre-installed. And I don't know if we have any of the Q slide widgets, which I can probably bring down from here. So if I press this, these are my Q slide widgets. I can have my calendar floating around over here while I do my other things, which is a very standard LG feature. We also have something called Smart Bulletin, which is on the left of the home screen, which I'd almost completely missed. You can have all your cool things here. It's like blink feed and flipboard and whatever else is available, but this one's slightly smarter. It lets you put your apps, your calendar, your schedule, everything over here. Slightly more intuitive because you can have not only your details, but you can also have things that you use on the go constantly. Let's quickly jump into the camera, which is the PS, the resistance. Fairly quick to focus. If you press on the settings over here, quite detailed if you ask me. You also have their voice shutter, which allows you to click a picture by saying cheese or please or any of those. You can also go into modes. You have a dual camera mode, panorama mode, etc. I can also switch to the front facing camera. I can also go into detailed settings with simple auto and full manual controls, which will allow me to control manual focus, white balance. You have your exposure level compensation. You have an ISO. You also have your shutter speed, which I can set delicately to not 1/50. I don't know why. Then you have your auto exposure lock, which is cool, I guess. So I can jump into a full manual mode if I wanted to. I can go into an auto mode, and then I have some settings over here which I can change around. I can turn on a grid if I wanted to. It's really nice camera. Thing vibrates when it's clicking a picture, but this is what it looks like. Overall, pretty impressive looking device from LG. The back leather, absolutely fantastic, really phenomenal looking, really nice, a true gem of a phone to hold in the hand. I'm pretty happy with what LG has done. You have fantastic display over here, and the camera on the back, I'm going to be testing it out thoroughly, hopefully coming out with a video soon enough for you guys. So if you have any questions or queries, do drop them in the comment section below, and I'm going to give you a shout out in my final review video of this device. And until I see you next time, guys, this has been Bharat Nagpal. Thank you guys for watching.